They told everyone to stay quiet. Not now. Not while Erica is grieving. But grief isn't a stop sign for truth. It's a mirror. And in that mirror, people started to see the cracks. Because when a story starts sounding too perfect, it usually means someone rehearsed it. The official version of Charlie Kirk's final hours sounded like a movie. A miracle of survival. A bullet that somehow lost its power. Doctors praising unbreakable bones, headlines celebrating divine intervention. For a while, the world believed it, because miracles are easier to accept than mysteries. But as time passed, that story began to rot from the inside. There were documents missing, names withheld, witnesses vanishing like smoke. Then came the first whisper: someone inside had seen a different report. The original. The unedited one. Pages that didn't match the version shown to the public. Timelines rearranged. Details rewritten. It was the kind of discovery that changes everything. Because if even the paperwork was altered, what else was being controlled? And that's where Candace Owens entered the storm. She didn't approach it like gossip, she treated it like an autopsy. She took the story apart, piece by piece. Hospital logs, treatment charts, social media timestamps, every thread she pulled unraveled a little more of the polished lie. On air she said, "Truth doesn't hide behind grief." Her tone wasn't dramatic. It was surgical. Then she pointed to one unbelievable line from the surgeon's note: his bone density was extraordinary, almost superhuman. At first, fans cheered. They wanted to believe in a man built of miracles. But skeptics saw it differently. "That line sounds written for headlines," one commenter posted. And just like that, faith turned into suspicion. Online, new fragments began to surface. Someone claimed a metal fragment had been removed from Charlie's neck, but the description didn't match the weapon in the police file. Another alleged the surgeon's note had been revised before publication. None of it could be verified, but every rumor drew more eyes, more anger, more doubt. Candace fueled it with one tweet that sent chills through the internet: "What you see isn't always the story." Within hours, #Kirk case was trending across every platform. Soon, a man named Cooper stepped into the spotlight. He said he was just a few steps from Charlie when the sound hit. His account didn't align with the one-shot narrative. "I heard two bursts," he told reporters. And the light, it wasn't from the stage. It came from the crowd first, then the side. His words painted a scene far different from the official version. Two flashes. Two angles. Two possibilities no one wanted to admit. The interview spread like wildfire, then vanished. The video was pulled, re-uploaded, flagged, deleted again. Viewers who downloaded it noticed something stranger: the file kept disappearing from their own devices. "It's like someone doesn't want this clip to exist," one user wrote before his account went dark. Then came the technician's leaked recording. In it, a man's voice said, "I checked the rig. No stage gear could make that noise. It wasn't ours." Within hours, the recording disappeared too. Each time a new piece surfaced, it was wiped almost instantly. The pattern was too precise to be coincidence. Inside Turning Point USA, the tension reached a breaking point. Staffers deleted tweets. Meetings went private. Insiders whispered that they'd been told to say nothing until this settles. The organization that built its brand on free speech had suddenly lost its voice. The press noticed. The audience noticed. And Candace, she definitely noticed. When she returned to her studio, her tone had changed. No longer cautious, just cold clarity. She told viewers she had proof: a series of text messages allegedly exchanged between Charlie Kirk and members of Turning Point USA during the weeks leading up to the tragedy. She didn't dramatize them. She read them. The words spoke for themselves: short, tense, filled with references to optics, damage control, and staying on script. As soon as she finished reading, silence filled the studio. Then the internet exploded. Screenshots flooded timelines. Podcasters went live within minutes. Some accused Candace of exploiting grief. Others called her the only one brave enough to question a machine bigger than truth itself. And then, in a twist no one expected, Andrew Cave, spokesperson for Turning Point USA, broke his own silence. He confirmed the messages were real. No denial. No spin. Just an admission that set off alarms everywhere. That single confirmation flipped the story upside down. What had been dismissed as rumor was suddenly evidence. Within hours, new hashtags rose to the top: #KirkFiles, #OwensRevelation, #TruthForCharlie. News anchors who'd ignored the case were now leading with it. Analysts started asking the same question that Candace Owens had whispered weeks before: if this was an accident, why is everyone so afraid of the truth? By nightfall, something irreversible had happened. The miracle narrative was dead. The silence had cracked. And for the first time, people realized this wasn't just a tragic accident, it might be a blueprint, a controlled story designed by powerful hands. Every hour brought new leaks, new fragments, new shadows. And somewhere between the redacted lines and the deleted clips, the question refused to die: if Charlie Kirk didn't fall by chance, then who made it happen, and why? The moment Candace Owens read those messages, something shifted. The world didn't blink, it stared. Social feeds froze mid-scroll. Talk shows rewrote their intros. Because this wasn't a rumor anymore, it was confirmation that the silence had weight behind it. Candace had kicked open a door everyone else pretended didn't exist. By morning, the ripple had turned tidal. Hashtags became headlines. Journalists demanded statements. Members of Turning Point USA were seen rushing between offices, avoiding cameras, their faces a mix of panic and exhaustion. Some insiders whispered that emergency meetings were called overnight. Others claimed NDAs were updated at dawn. The organization that once moved in confidence was now surrounded by its own echo, a noise of fear and self-protection. But Candace wasn't finished. On her next podcast she appeared tired but steady, voice softer, eyes darker. "This isn't about politics," she said quietly. "It's about truth, and the truth doesn't need permission." She spoke about the cost of questioning power, about friends who'd stopped answering calls, about messages from people begging her to back down. Yet she kept going, piece by piece, revealing how control had replaced clarity inside the very system that once promised freedom. Then came the unexpected turn, a clip that shook even her supporters. Candace played an audio message allegedly recorded weeks before Charlie Kirk's death. The voice on the tape mentioned pressure from above and a narrative we can't afford to lose. She didn't confirm who sent it, but the tone was unmistakably urgent. The studio fell silent. You could almost hear hearts beating through headphones. Within hours, news outlets were running split screens, Candace Owens on one side, Turning Point USA's logo on the other. Analysts argued over what the message meant. Some said it proved nothing. Others called it a bombshell. But the damage was already done. The world now believed there was more to this story than anyone wanted to admit. Inside Turning Point, the walls were cracking. Leaked emails showed internal disputes, members accusing each other of mishandling information, of prioritizing image over honesty. The leadership tried to regain control, issuing a brief statement confirming ongoing reviews and condemning unauthorized disclosures. It didn't help. The internet smelled fear. Then came the moment no one saw coming, a letter from a major donor, John Mapp Penn, and his wife. Candace read it live, her voice trembling slightly. The couple praised her courage and demanded full transparency in the investigation, reminding the public of Charlie Kirk's legacy: honesty, freedom, accountability. The letter ended with one sentence that burned across screens: "If we can't tell the truth about one man's death, how can we claim to defend truth at all?" That sentence became a rallying cry. Supporters started organizing under hashtags, recording videos, and demanding that the organization release every file related to Charlie's case. A movement was forming, half grief, half rebellion. Candace Owens went from commentator to crusader overnight. She admitted she still felt haunted by her friend's memory, saying, "Sometimes I still feel him near me, like he's waiting for me to finish what he started." The moment was raw, human, and powerful. Viewers flooded her comments with messages of support, but behind the emotion was a quiet war. Reports claimed that members of Turning Point USA's leadership had sent private warnings to Candace, urging her to stop. She responded on air, "If your reputation depends on hiding the truth, then maybe you've already lost it." The audience roared. The line became a viral clip replayed millions of times. Then the cracks turned into fractures. Whistleblowers inside the organization began reaching out anonymously, sending documents, emails, and screenshots. Some showed contradictions in financial records linked to the investigation fund. Others revealed that several witnesses had been asked to delay their statements until legal clearance was obtained, clearance that never came. Each new piece made the silence look less like strategy and more like cover-up. The reaction online was electric. Commentators compared Candace Owens to a digital-age detective, part journalist, part avenger. Forums lit up with theories connecting deleted footage, missing hospital files, and the timing of Charlie's final speech. Every new clue was treated like sacred evidence. The world had turned into one massive investigation room, and no one trusted the official answers anymore. Meanwhile, Andrew Cave, who had once confirmed the authenticity of the text messages, tried to calm the storm with another press statement. "We're cooperating fully," he said, his voice tight. "There's no conspiracy." But the words fell flat. In the age of leaked proof, denials sound like confessions, and then came the emotional breaking point. During a live stream, Candace Owens paused mid-sentence, fighting tears. She said she had dreamt of Charlie Kirk, that in the dream, he looked at her and said, "Don't let them rewrite me." Her voice cracked. She looked straight into the camera and whispered, "I won't." That moment spread faster than any headline. People weren't just watching a story, They were watching conviction turn into legacy. After that, nothing could stop the momentum. Donations poured into independent investigators. Journalists reopened archives. Former employees hinted they were ready to testify. Candace Owens had become the lightning rod for a storm that no longer belonged to one person or one organization. It belonged to the public, to everyone who'd ever been told to stay silent. By the end of the week, even some of Turning Point USA's own supporters began to turn. Panels split live on television. Arguments broke out at events. One side defended the institution. The other demanded truth. The divide wasn't just political anymore, it was moral. Candace ended her latest broadcast with a line that felt like both closure and warning. They thought silence would protect them. But silence doesn't save you, it marks you. Then she leaned back, eyes glinting under the studio light. And mark my words, she added softly, this story isn't ending here. The screen faded to black. But the movement, the questions, and the fire she started kept burning, louder, brighter, and more relentless than ever. Because once the truth begins to surface, no organization, no agenda, no power can bury it again. And somewhere in that rising noise, between grief and revelation, the legacy of Charlie Kirk stopped being a mystery and became a message. You can erase the evidence. You can silence the witnesses. But you can't kill the question, what really happened that night?